This shows that period leading up to the American Revolution, when South Carolina and the other colonies weren't exactly sure what was going to take place. So it starts in 1775, the documents do, and it shows that kind of uncertainty that we all felt until the Declaration of Independence. I mean, it wasn't a foregone conclusion, and these documents show that South Carolina thought it was going to get back together with Great Britain up until that moment. And then thereafter, they're looking at the world in a very different way. They're looking at the struggle in a very different way. And so that's what this exhibit shows. And it's some of the best mid 18th century records that we have, and the best collection of Revolutionary War documents that we have before 1780. So 250th anniversary of the creation of South Carolina's first Constitution on March 26, 1776. And then kind of the pivotal event in South Carolina history when you think about its symbols, its flags, and things like that. The Battle of Fort Sullivan on June 28, 1776. And we have items from that. We have the Great Seal of South Carolina, the first Great Seal that was produced immediately after that battle, and we have letters related to that battle. That's part of this exhibit as well as the Constitution. And then the last Native American treaty with South Carolina between the Cherokee and the state, Treaty of DeWitt's Warner. This all could have been lost in 1865. I mean, all these records, the most important records that South Carolina have were saved from the fires in Columbia on February 17, 1865. Over 150 years ago, the Secretary of State took all these records and put them in crates and loaded them on a train and took them north to York and to Charlotte to save all these records. I mean, these all could have been lost in those fires. It's interesting to think about people wrestling with the issue of loyalty and breaking away from their country and having to deal with this issue while their neighbors were thinking something completely different. I mean, South Carolina is a scene of a just terrible, terrible civil war between, especially in the backcountry of South Carolina, just between neighbors who had fundamentally different outlooks on life and fundamentally different outlooks on loyalty to the crown and independence. And South Carolina, more than any other state, probably, maybe New Jersey is as close, had to deal with this. And so it's fascinating. We're getting a view from these documents of those people who thought, their rights had been stamped upon by Great Britain and that they needed to rebel. There's another side of all this, and that's those people who just wanted to be left alone, or those people who were still loyal to the crown or thought things were going fine. But we don't have official documents from those people, right? Because, but these are great records, and it's a great story. It's a great story about the founding of this nation, and South Carolina's really important role in the founding of the nation, often overlooked important role in the founding of this nation. To see these records, to see these maps, to see how people were considering independence and when they considered independence and how they looked at their rights versus how Great Britain viewed their rights, all of those things. I mean, it's fascinating for people to be able to look at these records and see that their lives today are still impacted by what was created 250 years ago.